I was never attracted to you. And I can't stop seeing other men," she said, inebriated. I felt her words strike me. I decided as she fainted. I left at sunrise without letters or goodbyes. I'm Phil, and I've always believed hard work could repair practically anything. I was raised this way. You focus and grind, and everything falls into place. That outlook affected my life, especially my marriage. I've always had a busy schedule with meetings, deadlines, and deals. I got up and hustled all day. I was too exhausted to do much at home except say goodnight to my wife. But I persuaded myself it was worth it. I was making sure she never had to worry about anything by establishing our life. She was my focus while I wasn't working. How to satisfy her and offer her the life she deserves. I brought her gifts on work trips. I'd plan weekend vacations to catch up. I thought she grasped its flaws. Love is about striving, not being perfect. At least I thought so. I now realize I may have erred, but I didn't recognize it. I thought harder effort meant harder love. However, things felt weird lately. Now she hardly acknowledged me. At first, I ignored it. Our marriage was 2 years old. I thought we were just getting used to marriage. Though I sensed something was wrong, I didn't want to believe it. I told myself she was worried, weary, or going through a phase. I believed working harder and showing her I cared would fix everything. I believed love and effort could fix anything. I was wrong, extremely wrong. When I saw we were uptight, I took action. A romantic supper can help us reconnect. I may have been naive, but I tried. It took all afternoon to prepare. Since our first date, I hadn't made her favorite chicken parmesan with garlic mashed potatoes. I decorated the table with candles, lowered the lights, and played her favorite slow tunes. It meant I see you, miss you, and am trying. She appeared astonished as she entered. Wow, she remarked, looking at the table. I thought I saw a glimmer of gratitude. After kissing my cheek, she sat and grinned. We started eating and talked casually. She liked the dinner, joked about how I was secretly a better cook than her, and laughed for the first time in months. I believed we could get back. But after her third glass of wine, things went south fast. She was inebriated. It started softly. She relaxed, speaking slowly and freely as she sat back in her chair. I didn't think much of it until she laid her glass down, looked at me, and said, "You're a wonderful guy. I'm here with you because you make sure I'm okay." I froze. "You mean what?" My gut was twisted, but I asked steadily. She laughed softly, pity-filled. "You've never interested me, not that manner." Her words hit me like a freight train. Yet she continued, like a casual storyteller. She leaned forward and rested her chin on her hand. "You're kind and safe, but not my type." She then described her type as rougher and darker. Someone who breaks regulations. My total opposite. She then dropped the bomb, making everything worse. He was my type, so I couldn't resist. She got sidetracked, but I didn't need her to finish. Her words were familiar. I nodded like a fool as my wife told me truths that broke me. My chest felt heavy like I couldn't breathe. But I held my cool. I appeared calm, but within I snapped. Not an apology, not even regret. Her intoxicated justification was meant to help me understand her betrayal. Then I realized I didn't need to yell. I didn't need battle. I needed to let her finish before deciding what to do. In bed that night, I realized there was no going back. Her words kept playing in my thoughts. How she didn't like me, stuck with me because I was kind, and discovered what she wanted elsewhere. Not simply the betrayal hurt. It was her casual admission. I felt no resentment lying in the dark listening to her sweet snores. Only clarity. Fighting her wouldn't help. She'd proven herself, so I trusted her, but confronting her would simply make her feel justified. That was unfair to her. She wasn't worth fighting. She deserved no closure. She deserved to experience life without me. I decided by sunrise, she'd wake up without me. I'm no impulsive dude. The way I act is precise. I left the house calmly and slowly that morning, with no hint of unusual activity. Except this time, I wouldn't return. The first call was to my lawyer. He was instructed to draft divorce papers with everything I needed to split from her. Then I called my accountant. He was smart and liquidated my interests in our joint investments within hours. I had full control over my assets and empty accounts at day's end. Then I called family. I didn't explain everything. I clarified. but didn't need to. Don't entertain her. Don't reveal my whereabouts. If she calls, say nothing. She should experience the weight of her actions without someone to soften the fall. Finally, I told my lawyer to convey a message to her when she called. She'll get divorce papers soon. No explanations. No apology. The harsh reality of what she'd lost. A few weeks later, paperwork arrived. My lawyer said she called, emailed, and visited him. I remained silent. She requested an explanation. What could I tell her that she didn't know? She hesitated to sign the paperwork. She hesitated, dragging. She may have thought she could save us or didn't want to lose my steadiness. She gave in after seeing the financial settlement. Her signature didn't surprise me. She always put herself first. That ended the chapter. When I left that marriage, I didn't consider her. I just wanted to escape her lies, contempt, and complete disregard for me. I thought, let her live her way. She appeared to do so. Her new life appeared good at first. She was single, free, and financially secure after the settlement. I worked hard to build for us. After our divorce, she got her part. She went out more and indulged in her regular distractions. Nights out, new clothing, and new men. I heard she joked about finally living her dream life. The thing about her kind is, they consider just the present. She thought freedom meant doing anything she pleased without consequences. Life doesn't operate that way. It eventually catches you. One freedom caught up with her big time. She became pregnant. A mutual acquaintance kept spreading the news. Not intended, apparently. Not that it should be. The dad, he vanished when she told him. No calls, texts, nothing. Just gone. She handled it alone. It continued. Settlement money. She ate it up rapidly. She owed a lot when the baby came. She sold our old house. It was her residence then. Our common lives ended there. Next came her friends. What was remained of them? Her kind always attracts the same people. Shallow, egotistical, and only around for fun. They disappeared one by one when she asked for money. Babysitting, a shoulder to cry on. Perhaps her best tales no longer entertained them. She obtained her desired freedom. Freedom has a cost. Because she never valued it. She lost everything. The truth, felt no sympathy for her. I wasn't sitting there rubbing my hands and applauding her ouster. I didn't care. I closed her chapter. Some folks think they're escaping but run into a wall. That was her. She ran, and no one caught her as she hit the wall. Years passed. Slowly, my life progressed. Though imperfect, it was mine. One day, she discovered me. The doorbell rang when I was reading by the window at home. Not expecting anyone, I opened the door and saw her. She looked fine, put together, and confident, something I once loved. Her calm, searching gaze met mine, assessing my reaction. I felt cold and detached when I saw her again. How she found me was unknown. Disgust was all I felt. She stared at me, waiting to speak, not given. She finally spoke without waiting for consent. When she spoke, her voice cracked. I've been looking for you for years, she said, shivering. Sorry, I needed to say. I made a terrible mistake and pay for it every day. She waited for me to speak. But I didn't. Leaning back on the entrance door, I watched her wiggle, she said, clutching her hands with quivering hands. I thought I could have everything. I hoped to find excitement elsewhere and keep you. I was mistaken. After it was gone, I realized what I had. She rambled desperate phrases. She described her broken life, failed relationships, debt, and loneliness. She acknowledged to being pregnant and alone. Please, I need you, she begged, crying. I've always needed you. I leaned forward to look at her. I wanted her to know this wasn't a chat. One ended. You chose. I stated calmly but firmly. You never liked me. Remember, I'm not your type, so find one and see if he wants you. She recoiled as if my words hit her. But I continued. I disregard your regrets. I'm indifferent to your pain. You bear that load, not mine. Never look at me again. I stood back, closed the door, and left without thinking. I didn't need her explanations, apologies, or sorrow. That aspect of my life was over. So why reopen it? Leaving, I reflected about the man I had become. It hurt to lose her. It broke me in ways I didn't realize I could. But it forced me to rebuild. I'm rebuilding. Absence is sometimes the best gift you can give a traitor. Sometimes the best thing for you is to leave and never return. I discovered myself in losing her, which was the only closure I needed. What would you have done in my situation? Pause and consider. You just had a meal to spark up your marriage, only to have your wife, the lady you pledged to spend your life with, inform you, between wine sips, that you're not her type. She even laughed and said she's been with other men behind your back. What would you do? Would you defend someone who doesn't value you? Would you leave? I'm not here to judge. But let me share something I learned the hard way. Stop making excuses for someone who disrespects you or your love if you're in my circumstance. Don't let the disapproval lower your self-esteem. People treat you as you allow. If they can step on you once, they'll do it again and worse. I know leaving is hard, very painful, quite messy. It's lonely at first. You must consider the long term. Maybe you're worried about the aftermath, scared about beginning over, having no company. However, being alone is much better than being with someone who makes you feel inadequate. When you leave someone who doesn't realize that you opened the door for something better, even if it's only inner calm. Thanks for watching.